Mimi naitwa Doris Nyambura, bwana yangu alikuwa anaitwa JM. Mimi niko na watoto 5 na JM. Vijana wa 3 na wasichana 2. JM aliponioa nilikuwa nikifanya kazi na trade union. Boss yangu alikuwa Samuel Muhaji. JM alikuwa mtu mzuri, akitoka politics aingie ndani ya nyumba anakuja kama bwana wetu ama baba watoto. Alikuwa anapenda watoto wake sana na bibi yake. Tulikuwa na bibi mwingine mdogo kushinda mimi, alikuwa anaitwa Esther Mwikai. Na kubuka siku moja kulikuwa na mkutano wa kampeni ya JM. JM alituacha nyumbani. Mimi na Esther tukasema wacha tuende mkutano yake. Sasa tukakuta wakina mama Nyakenywa wakiiba ile nyimbo wanaiba. Tukafanya laini. JM alikuwa akisalimia watu, anakuja anasalimia huyu, anasalimia huyu. Alipofika pahali yuko, alituuliza, hata nyinyi mko hapa? Tukamwambia ndio tukuja mkutano yako. Haya, tukaendelea. Akafurahi sana kwa sababu aliona tunamsupport. Alafu sasa kampeni ilipoanza, mkutano yake ikakataliwa na serikali. Alikuja ibaya akatuambia mkutano wake umekataliwa na serikali na sasa nyinyi wawili ndio mtaenda kampeni. Tukamuuliza tutaenda kampeni namna gani, hatujafanya kampeni tena. Akasema nitakuwa nikimwandikia mkienda, nitakuwa nikikuandikia vile utakwenda kusema, wewe Nyambura utakwenda Daragwa, wewe utakwenda Duduri ama wewe utakwenda Gorika. Sasa tulikuwa tukienda hivyo, anatuandikia kila kitu. Tunaenda kwa mkutano, tunafanya mkutano, tunarudi jioni, tunamwambia vile tuliona. Sasa hata alikuwa anafurahi sana, alikuwa anangojea sisi. Lakini sasa wakati tulikuwa tukimwacha nyumbani, hakukaa nyumbani, alikuwa akienda Nakuru kusaidia Mark Mwithaga.
Ni miaka 50 tangu JM Kariuki auawe, na natarajia kusherehekea miaka 50 bila JM. Wakati utapata nafasi, ni ujumbe gani utakuwa ukiwaambia Wakenya waliomjua na ambao wamezaliwa baada ya JM kuuawa?
Mimi nitawaeleza Wakenya vile JM alikuwa mzuri, vile alikuwa tetezi mzuri na mzee mzuri, alikuwa na shuga sisi. Tena tutawaambia wafuate JM kwa sababu JM alikuwa anapenda watu ya Kenya na alikuwa akitaka kusaidia Kenya iwe kama nchi nyingine.
Kenya wangetaka kujua ulikutanaje na JM wakati ukiwa bado msichana?
JM alikuwa ametoka detention camp, anaenda kwao. Kwao kulikuwa kunaitwa Kaliko Udhaya, na mimi nilikuwa nikifanya kazi na trade union. Sasa alikuja ofisi yetu, tukakutana huko. Tulipokutana huko, aliniambia anataka kunioa kwa sababu amekaa detention miaka mingi, rika yake yote wako na watoto. Nikamwambia ni sawa tu. Sasa nikamwambia lazima kwanza twende kwa wazazi tukawajulishe. Tulienda kwa wazazi, lakini mimi nikamuuliza nani anakutupeleka, nani atakwenda kuongea juu yako, kwa sababu lazima uwe rafiki yako yule anaongea. Kaniambia hapana, wacha twende tu. Sasa tulipofika huko, aliniambia hakuna mtu mwingine atakuja ama mtu mwingine atakuja, ni wewe utaongea. Sasa nikamuuliza nitaongea namna gani? Wewe akaniambia wewe utasema huyu ndio kijana yule anataka kunioa na alikuwa detention camp, hajafanya kazi, hana mali, lakini akinioa atawaletea mali. Kwa sababu ya vile wazazi wangu walikuwa maumau, walikubali, hawakusema kitu, lakini walimwambia kuna ile kitu ukitoa, ile inatolewa ya muheriga. Akaulizwa ni gani na gani, akaandika, tukaleta hiyo. na kulikuwa kunatakiwa pombe na vitu vingine, lakini hiyo JM alifanya. Lakini kuleta mali hakuleta kwa sababu alikuwa ametoka detention na alikuwa hana kazi. Sasa wakati wazazi wako wakamkubali, sasa tukaanza kutengeneza harusi. Sasa kabla harusi mpango haijakwisha, tumeandika kadi ya invitation ya harusi. Mama yangu akashikwa. Kuna chama ingine ilikuwa inaitwa KKM, kiama kia Mwangi. Sasa mama yangu aliingia na serikali walijua ameingia, akashikwa, akaenda akafungiwa jela bila fine, akafungwa miezi 3 bila fine. Sasa nikamuuliza JM, nikamwambia sasa tuwezi kuolewa kwa sababu mimi ndiye mkubwa kwetu na mimi ndio naangalia watoto, lazima sasa tugojee mama yangu miezi 3 atoke tutengeneze. Sema hapana, nitajaribu juu chini mpaka niende mama ametoka. Nikamwambia sawa sawa, akajaribu mpaka akaweza, akapewa release ya kutoka. Alikuwa amefungiwa King'ong'o, akapewa barua ya kumtoa King'ong'o. Hata hakuniambia nafanya hivyo. Mimi alikuja akaniambia mama yuko nyumbani. Nikamwambia yuko nyumbani namna gani? Akaniambia nimemtoa. Nikachagaa kwa sababu ukifungwa bila faini huwezi kutoka, lazima utamaliza ile siku umefungwa. Lakini aliweza kumaliza hiyo siku yote, hakufungwa hata, nafikiri alikaa kama wiki moja. JM akizunguka ili amtoe na akatoka. Sasa tukaendelea na plani ya harusi, tukaanza kutoa makadi, tukaanza kutayarisha kila kitu, tukaanza kununua nguo, tukaanza kununua kila kitu. Bila harusi inafanywa, tukafanya harusi. JM alipoenda politics, akaenda Nyandarua, alinunua chaba ya mzungu na akawanunulia ng'ombe. Sasa walikuwa nakamua maziwa kwa vile alikuwa anawaambia. Na JM hakuna kitu angekwambia atakufanyia asikufanyie. Akikwambia atakufanyia hii atakufanyia. Hata akikwambia nini na manini, hata akisema kitu iwe gumu, wewe hiyo kitu haiwezekani, yeye ataweza, sababu alikuwa anajua vile atabanuva. Baba yangu alikuwa anaitwa Gordon J. Na mama yangu alikuwa anaitwa Mumbi. Na tulikuwa tumezaliwa na watu wasichana 5 na wanaume 4.
Kutoka sehemu gani ya Kenya? Kutoka
Aguthi, Central Province. Na tulikuwa tunakaa Gicagi inaitwa Mecha ama ya Mkurwe, Nyeri County.
Kwa vizazi vijavyo, najua uko na wajukuu ambao wanakwenda kama grandmother ama shosho wao. Ili tu wajue ni nini siku hiyo ulipokutana na JM mara ya kwanza, nini likupendeza kwa huyu kijana ambaye?
Nilimpenda kwa sababu alikuwa kijana smart na alikuwa kijana yuko na roho mzuri. Hata mkikaa na yeye ni kukuchekesha tu, anakuchekesha. Hata wazazi wangu walimpenda sana kwa sababu hiyo. Alikuwa anajua nitafanyia wazazi hivi, tafanyia hawa hivi. Alikuwa mtu mzuri sana.
Ni nini nyingine utaambia wa Kenya ambao hawajui kuhusu JM?
JM alikaa detention camp miaka mingi. Alipotoka na akanioa, aliniambia nisimpikie ugali. Amekula ugali detention camp nyingi. Alikuwa anataka mchele, chapati na chicken. Na hiyo chicken JM alikuwa kitaka mtu akitoa giza hawezi kula hiyo, nitanunua ingine nimpikie. Alikuwa na maisha yake, alikuwa namna hiyo, na maisha yake alikuwa kitaka kufurahia kwa sababu ya miaka ile alikuwa amepotea kwa detention camp. Alikuwa anataka maisha mazuri. Tena alikuwa akisema nataka tukae kama wazungu, sababu wakati alikuwa mdogo alikuwa akifanya kazi kwa wazungu kusaidia jikoni, mpishi. Kwa hiyo alikuwa anajua habari ya wazungu, vile wazungu wanakaa. Alikuwa anakaa kwa wazungu. Hata siku moja zamani Alikuwa sababu alikuwa akiona wazungu wanakaa vizuri sana. Aliwaambia wazazi yake, mimi nikiwa mkubwa nitanunua nyumba ya mzungu na nitanunua piano niwe nikiwachezea piano huko. Lakini sasa mama alikuwa kichibwa. Sasa mtoto mdogo hivi anasema tununue nyumba ya mzungu namna gani? Na unajua siku hiyo jua tutapewa uhuru. Siku ile alikwenda masichi ya Tomboya. Tulikuwa tumemwonya asiende huko kwa sababu sisi wakati ile tulisikia Tomboya ameuawa tulikwenda kwa mochari. Lakini watu wa Jaruo walikuwa wabaya sana, walikuwa wanasema Kikuyu naua boya, Kikuyu naua boya, tunapigwa. Hata mimi niko na scars mingi huko kwa mguu nilipigwa. Kwa hivyo nikamwambia JM, sasa unamjua vile mlinitafuta siku ile ya Tomboya. Sasa wewe unataka kwenda huko alafu wewe ukufe, tutabaki na nani? Kaniambia hapana, mimi nitaenda. Alikuwa amepigwa simu DDC, alikuwa wa Kisumu, akamwambia hapa ni kubaya sana, usijaribu. Lakini yeye alisema ataenda. Alipotoka Nairobi, sababu sisi tulikuwa Gidigidi nyumbani, alikuja na maua Edith. Akaja na maua, akafungua buti, akasema hii maua nitapeleka kwa Tomboya. Sisi siku hiyo tulikuwa tunangojea tu tusikie watu wangapi waliuawa, tujue yeye alikuwa mmoja wao. Lakini alienda na akarudi. Jioni aliporudi, alikuja amefurahi sana. Alisema mimi niko hapa, hakuna kitu nilifanywa, nilifurahiwa. Ndio alifurahi sana kuniona. Sasa kama ningekubaliana na nyinyi singeenda Kisumu. Sasa hata sisi tukaona kweli huyu ni mtu wa kujaribu, kama anajaribu kifo, kwa sababu hiyo ilikuwa kifo. Kama anajaribu hiyo ni mtu wa kujaribu.
Ulijifunza nini kuhusiana na hilo jambo la JM kwenda Kisumu na karudi akiwa mzima?
Nilijifunza watu ni watu moja. Kama ni Wajaruo ni wa Kenya, kama ni kabila yote ni wa Kenya. Na vile JM alikuwa akipenda marafiki zake, alikuwa anapenda Tomboya sana, walikuwa akiongea sana na yeye. Hata baba ya Raila Odinga tulikuwa tunakaa na wao Jerusalem, na JM alikuwa akitembelea Odinga. Kwa hivyo JM alikuwa anajifundisha politics na wale watu wa zamani, na alikuwa anawapenda sana.
Neno moja tu nakumbuka ambalo JM alikuambia kuhusu Tomboya ama Odinga ambalo unakumbuka mpaka leo?
Yeye alikuwa akisema ni watu wazuri sana hawa ni watu wazuri sana, ni watu werefu. Odinga ni mtu mzuri na ni mtu mwerefu. Alipokuwa detention camp, alikuwa akifanya kazi kwa ofisi ya wakubwa wake wa prison. Alikuwa akiiba karatasi, anakuja kidogo, anaifisha kwa sababu wasijue. Hata alikuwa weka hiyo barua, hiyo karatasi pade haiwezi kuonekana ni mtu yote. Sasa hiyo karatasi alikuwa anaandika barua, akaenda wa kampu anaandika barua, na alikuwa akiandika barua na damu yake analisoma na sindano. Damu ikitoka na kalamu hawangekosa. Kalamu ilikuwa ni kamiti. Anachika damu, anaandika vile wanateswa huko. Alafu sasa inatumwa sijui ni wapi Ulaya. Sasa wazungu walikuwa nakuja kuangalia hawa wafungwa bila kujua ati wameripotiwa. Wanastuka sana, lakini walichunguza wakajua yule mtu anatakisisi boma hii, wakajua ni JM. JM alishikwa, akafungiwa, akapigwa. Hata alikuwa akiniambia moyo iko bali kwa sababu kukufa. Alipona. Mama yake alishikwa wakiwa wadogo, wakiwa huko pande ya Bahati. Mama yake alishikwa na akafungwa jela ya Nakuru. Aliposhikwa walikuwa wadogo sana. Alijaribu sana mpaka akaenda akaona mama yake. Na vile aliona mama yake ni kuchimba chini. Anachimba chini mpaka naingia. Askari waliona mtoto kwa jela. Sasa wakachidwa mtoto ameingilia wapi. na ni kuchimba shiba, lakini yeye hakupigwa ni mamake hakupigwa, kwa sababu mama yake sio alimtuma ashibe hapo, lakini alishiba ni lazima aone mama yake. Alafu kuna lottery ilikuwa ikishinda zamani, JM alicheza akashinda. Aliposhinda akanunua basketi, alikuwa na basketi sijui ni ngapi. Kuna pahali waja hivi, hiyo waja alikuwa anaweka hiyo basketi yake, watu wanaendesha wanalipa. Alafu wakati alikuwa Nairobi alinunua taxi ya Toyota, alikuwa anaweka pale Africa Hotel, na alikuwa akitengeneza pesa sana. Lakini JM alikuwa mtu mzuri, akitengeneza pesa sio yake peke yake, ni yetu. Alafu yeye alikuwa secretary wa Kenyatta, alitumwa Guinea. Nilipata mtoto wa kwanza JM akiwa ameenda huko safari. Sasa alisema huyu mtoto ataitwa jina la president wa huko. President wa huko ni Sekoture. Kijana wangu wa kwanza alinaitwa Sekoture, mtaja Sekoture. Siku moja tuli-inviteo kwa dio wa huo kwetu, alikuwa anaitwa John Nottingham, na yeye alimsaidia kutoa mama yangu kwa jela. Tulipoitwa kwa dina kwa Nottingham, tulikuwa nilikuwa sijui kukula na oma. Sasa naangalia JM hivi, mimi nachukua oma, namuuliza ni hiyo, anasema ndio. Nachukua ingine, nasema ndio. Nikitaka kuchukua ile hapa na hivi, anasema hivi. Sasa anajua hiyo sio. Alikuwa amefundisha mimi mambo mingi sana. Alikuwa kama mwalimu wangu, na tulikuwa tunapendana sana na JM. Na mimi nilikubali, tunasaidiana sana. Hata akitoka Nairobi aje nyumbani, alikuwa kuja nikwambia, ananiambia maneno yote ile ameenda through hiyo wiki. Ingine ni gumu. JM alikuwa mzee kamili, hakuna kitu chochote tungeona. Tena JM alikuwa anajua kuunganisha watu. Kama sasa huyu bibi nakwambia wa pili, tulikuwa tunakaa kama sisters. Hata ungejua ni bibi mwenzangu. Hata akuona tulikuwa tunaita na huyu dada yangu, ni dada yangu. Tulikuwa tunapendana sana na yeye. Na ni vile JM alifanya. Kwa sababu mzee wa nyumbani kama hapa anapendelea pande moja, apende wote pamoja, hawatakosana. Lakini sasa akipendelea huyu, awache huyu, hiyo ndio vita inatoka nyumbani. Kwa sababu sasa anapenda huyu, apende hii. Lakini JM kama ni kwa duka, tukienda kwa duka, kila mtu anunue kitu yake. Tukienda kwa watoto, tuangalie watoto. Hata huyu Esther ungejua ni bibi, alikuwa kiitwa ni watoto wangu mama. Hata leo, hata umesikia bila Mumbi amekwambia huko ndani habari ya mama. JM alikuwa mtu hodari na mtu mwerefu.
Ulishtuka wakati alikwambia ninaoa bibi wa pili?
Hakuniambia, nilisikia hata JM ameoa bibi wa pili. Lakini unajua kawaida hakuna mtu anataka bwana yake aoe. Kwa hivyo tulipigana naye, tukapigana mpaka tukapendana. Tulipigana naye mpaka tukapendana. Sasa tunalitana, tunapigania nini? Wewe uletwa ni JM, mimi uletwa ni JM, tunapigania nini? Sasa tunapendana na Esther. Esther alikuwa kama dada yangu, hata mimi alikuwa akinita dada. Tulikuwa tunapendana sana.
Na alipoa Terry, bibi wa tatu?
Huyu siwezi kusema. Okay. JM alikuwa na biashara nyingi. Alikuwa habari ya kulima chapa, alikuwa ni matiga, hata ya baada ya kuvuna yoyote. Sasa na alikuwa na petrol station. Sasa alikuwa anagawanya, mimi na Esther, wewe utakwenda kuangalia ng'ombe ikikamuliwa asubuhi ni wewe. Mimi nilikuwa nikiamka saa 11 naenda kwa ng'ombe. Alafu Esther anaambiwa wewe angalia petrol. Esther alikuwa akienda kwa hiyo petrol station, nilikuwa town ya Giligili na sisi tunakaa huko juu pale naitwa Gitare. Kulima ngano tulikuwa tukipadia Kenya Breweries Bale. Alikuwa anatuambia hataki kusikia dereva anakula chakula, tiga inasimama. Wewe Nyambura chukua tiga, uende ulime nayo ama upande nayo mpaka dereva amalize kula. JM alikuwa anapenda sana habari ya gambling. Tulikuwa tukienda Gong kama kuna gambling, lakini yeye alikuwa na bahati, alikuwa anakula, alikuwa ana win. Sisi hatukuwa tuna win, tulikuwa tunajaribu sana, lakini anatuambia hapana, weka hapa, weka hapa, weka hapa. Haya, sisi mimi na Esther tukajua sisi sasa ni champion. JM akaenda safari, alikuwa secretary wa Kenyatta. Alipoenda safari akatuachia ile pesa itatosha mpaka yarudi. Mimi na Esther tukajua sasa ndio tutajika. Hii pesa tumewashwa ya chakula ndio tutakwenda kubeti nayo. Sasa tukaenda tukabeti na ile pesa. Inapotea. Ingine inapotea. Ingine inapotea. Sasa hata ile chakula ya watoto hatukuwa nayo. Tulikuwa tukienda kuomba watu wetu, kama ndugu yangu, my brother-in-law anaitwa Peter Joka na Harold Muturi. Sasa tulikuwa tukaenda kubeba. Sasa wanauliza, JM aliwacha nini bila chakula? Tunaambia hatukuacha na chakula. Tunaongea na sauti ya unyonge. Alituacha tu hivi atupatia chakula, tunapatiwa chakula. Sasa wakati JM alikuja, sasa tulikuwa tunaulizana na Esther tutamwambia nini, na atajua hakuna pesa na watoto hawakupata chakula ama petrol ya kupeleka watoto kwa shule. Sasa alipokuja kwenda kumchukua airport, tunaona kama anatuona bila tumemesi na pesa ya chakula ya watoto. Sasa Esther anaambia mwile, mimi namwambia hapana mwile, wacha mimi nasema tutafika nyumbani sababu hapa tutapigiwa kelele sana. Yeye aliona kuna kitu, akauliza nini mnaficha? Tunasema hakuna kitu tunaficha, na lakini tunajua ametuchika. Sasa tulipofika nyumbani ndio tukamwambia sisi, tukajistaki, tulijua akijua atakasirika sana bila tumeomba pesa na kukopa kwa watu. Tukamwambia ile pesa utuachia ya chakula, tulikuwa na farasi tukacheza ikakuliwa. Sasa natuambia nini majika, kwani mlienda kufanya hivyo? Tukamwambia si wewe unachitaka, tulikuwa tunafikiri hata sisi tutashinda. Akasema hapana, Mungu anapea mtu kipeo yake. Kama sio yenu hamngechida. Simnaona sasa mlipira mlifanya. Watoto walipata hakuna chakula, yeye mko na taabu na hamtaki kuniambia. Kwa hivyo JM alikuwa akikuangalia hivi kama uko na kitu unaficha, anaona tu. Tena JM alikuwa anapenda hawa wakina mama anaitwa Nyakenywa. Alikuwa ndio walikuwa hawana walikuwa wengine wanafaa shuka, wengine hawajafaa viatu hivi kwa sababu walikuwa wakifanya kazi kwa wazungu. Wakikuja nyumbani anaangalia mama hivi, anaona hivyo baba yuko na taabu, ananiambia patia hilo mama viatu yako, patia. Sasa mnaenda mnamtafutia ile, hapana mtu anasema hapana, ile nikununulia juzi, mleta hiyo nitakununulia ingine. Sasa unakwenda tu nalete. Sasa mama anaona haiwezi kumfaa, ama anaona ni high heels na hawezi kwenda na high heels, na wapi wewe rudisha utaniletea. Anarudisha, akija next time anakuja na gari na jaa vitu, viatu, mablanketi, nini, anapatia hao wakina mama. Alikuwa anawapenda sana, na tungekuwa tunakaa usiku yote akiongea na wao. Na akiongea na wao hamwezi kwenda kulala, lazima mkae hapo mkiwapikia chai mkaete chakula. Alikuwa anapenda watu.
Ulijifunza nini kuhusiana na huo ukarimu?
Ulinifunza mambo mengi sana. Kupenda watu kama vile unajipenda wewe mwenyewe. Kama ni watu wako wa kazi ama wale tunakaa na wao wa kazi, kuwapenda, kuwatetea vizuri kama vile mimi natedewa. JM ametutoa habari sana sana. Hivi alikuwa akiona hawa kina mama anawahurumia, hata sisi alikuwa akihurumia sisi hivi. Akienda ng'ambo aona mzungu anavaa nguo mzuri, anatafuta hiyo duka na kuletea hiyo duka hiyo nguo kwa duka. Alikuwa mkarimu kabisa.
JM alikuwa karani wa Kenyatta.
Ndio.
Ni neno gani moja alikuambia ilimfanya Kenyatta awe rafiki yake mkubwa?
Tulikuwa tunaishi Nyeri. Waliungana na wazee wengine wakanunua vitu wanapelekea Kenyatta huko mahali alikuwa anampelekea. Alafu alipotoka jela, Kenyatta ndiye alisema anataka ile kijana sasa alikuwa JM. Kasema ile kijana walikuwa anakuja kuniangalia huko na vitu, ndio nataka kuandika. JM akaletwa ni wazee wa Nyeri, akaletwa wa Kenyatta akamwandika. Tena JM alikuwa anajua kuandika shorthand. Hiyo shorthand ya JM sijui alikuwa anafundishwa ni wazungu ama walikuwa anafundishwa ni nani, sababu sio ile watu wanasoma, lakini alikuwa akifanyia yeye na hiyo shorthand. Akija kwa mkutano anafanya na huo. Tena alikuwa akisema vile Kenyatta anampenda. Kenyatta alikuwa akimpenda sana, kwa sababu hata siku ile kulikuwa kubaya, anaambiwa wewe jichunge sana. Kenyatta anasema utauawa. Yeye alikuwa akisema mzee hawezi kuniua, na ni kweli mzee hageua JM. Labda ni watu wengine waliona wivu, lakini sio Kenyatta. Kenyatta walikuwa nasema mzee hawezi kuniua, lakini hatukuwa na siku hata moja ameita Kenyatta jina lake. Alikuwa akimwita mzee tu. Alikuwa na heshima na Kenyatta sana.
JM alitaka muishi kama wazungu. Miaka 50 baada ya kifo chake, wewe kama kiongozi wa familia ya JM, leo hii mnaishi hiyo ndoto yake?
Ndio, tunaishi hiyo ndoto yake, sababu kama ni hii nyumba unaona, ama hii compound na ile watu tunakaa, ile nakaa mimi, ni ile JM alikuwa ni jasho lake. Hakuna kitu mimi nimenunua hata kidogo, kila kitu ni jasho yake. Na tunakaa kama wazungu kwa sababu atuweka hivyo, na tunajaribu sana tusiegushe hiyo standard. Hiyo standard yetu nayo tunajaribu sana isianguke. Hata kama uko na tabu unajikaza, watoto wako wanasomea mashule ya wazungu. Sababu JM zamani alikuwa akiniambia, unajua Nyambura, tukipea uhuru tutaishi nyumba ya wazungu. Sasa sio nyumba ya wazungu, na itatoka wapi? Alafu ananiambia, wewe utakuwa na gari. Namuuliza nani ataendesha? Mimi sijui. Ananiambia utafundishwa, utakuwa mashule ya kufundisha watu wale wajue kuendesha gari, na wewe utafundishwa, na watoto wangu wetu watasomea shule ile ya wazungu, sio ile ya Kichagi huko ya wazungu. JM alikuwa na maono. Sasa mimi nachidwa nyumba ya mzungu, gari yangu niendeshe nini? Mimi nilikuwa naona ni ngumu sana, lakini ilikuwa ikakuwa hivyo. Mimi nakumbuka gari yangu ya kwanza ile alinunulia, alisema, hata tulikuwa na Esther, mimi nimenunua gari na nimeiwa showroom, mtu aende achukue gari yake na aendeshe alete mpaka nyumbani. Sasa nilikuwa nimejifunza kuendesha. Sasa nachidwa nitaendesha namna gani gari kutoka Nairobi mpaka Ruaraka aone nimelete. Nilienda nikapata, nikaambiwa gari ndio hiyo, sasa ni kuendesha. Unaingilia Noente, unaingilia wapi? Unajua Roraka ni pale, kwa hivyo wewe kufikia yangu ni hapa, si ati usukuka roundabout. Tena siku hiyo hakukuwa na roundabout. Nilipeleka gari nyumbani, lakini nilikuwa na sweat. Yeye alicheka sana, akasema sasa umejaribu, kuna mtu amekuleta? Nikamwambia hakuna mtu amenileta. Ulitoka huko saa ngapi? Nikamwambia hata sijui, kwa sababu nilikuwa nafikiri nikiendesha gari zero. Sababu mtu akaenda, unaona kama utamgonga. Gari ingine ikipita, unaona hata gari ikipita unasimama. Yeye alikuwa namna hiyo. Tena alikuwa akifurahia kitu kama hiyo. Kitu kama hiyo alikuwa anafurahia hiyo sana.
Kukosekana kwa JM katika maisha yako kumebadilisha nini vile unaona maisha tangu kifo chake?
Nimebadilika sana kwa sababu bwana yako ni bwana yako. Na mlikuwa wawili mkisaidiana. Hata kama ni habari ya watoto mnasaidiana, mambo yote mnasaidiana. Na sasa unawacha peke yako. Wewe ndio unafanya decision. Wewe ndio baba ya watoto na mama ya watoto. Sasa ni kujaribu sana. Kujaribu sana mpaka usomeshe watoto. Uwapatie chakula, sababu ni watoto wadogo kama hawa au wadogo wakiwa wadogo. Hakuna mtu angejitafutia chakula. Hakuna, ni mimi sasa uwaweke watoto wako hivi. Tena JM alikuwa akisema anafanyia watoto yake kazi. Vile mnaona mimi nafanya watoto wako kazi. Kwa hivyo hata wewe unajaribu vile JM alikuwa akisema anafanyia watoto wako kazi, ufanyie wao. Hata yeye pahali iko afurahi. Ataona Nyambura anajaribu sana kuchunga watoto wetu.
Je, unafikiri Wakenya wamesahau juhudi zilizofanywa na JM za kupigania haki na usawa? Unafikiri Wakenya wamekusahau?
Hapana, hawajanisahau. Hawajanisahau sana, sababu kusema mkienda pahali waambiwe ni bibi ya JM, unapatiwa heshima ile kubwa sana. Hata wakati hata sasa mtu anakupatia heshima sana, sababu kwa vile alikuwa anapenda JM. Na vile tumekaa, Mungu ametuweka hivyo kwa sababu ya maombi ya watu. Kwa sababu ile JM alifanyia watu. Hakuna pahali Kenya unaweza kwenda usione kitu JM alifanya. Kila pahali ukienda utakuta amefanya hivi.
Kuna marafiki wake wa kisiasa walikuwa na kutembelea?
Walikuwa kina Warukaja. Walikuwa wakitembelea sana.
Na kizazi cha sasa cha wanasiasa huwa wanakuja kukutembelea wajue historia ya JM?
Hakuna amekuja.
Hii inakutia wasiwasi?
Hainti kwa sababu wakati huo wote nimekaa.
Kuna vitu uliambiliwa na serikali labda itatimizwa baada ya kifo cha JM. Miaka 50 baada ya kifo chake, hayo yametimizwa?
Haijatimizwa sababu hatujajua wale wa JM. Hatujajua. Lakini sisi kama familia tumewaforgive wale watu wa JM. Hakuna haja ya hii miaka 50 tumefuga kitabu. Hatutaki sasa kuja kuambiwa aliwawa ni huyu ama aliwawa ni huyu. Sisi tumewasamehe watu wale walimuua, wale walifanya hivi, tumewasamehe ili tukae na maisha sasa ingine mzuri. Bila unaona tunakaa hii boma yangu ni JM alibacha. Sio ile nimenunua, hakuna kitu anakata nimenunua. Ni ile JM alikuwa amenunua yote. Kila kitu ni alikuwa ananunua. Ile ingine labda watoto wameninunulia.
Wewe umewasamehe waliomuua JM?
Ndio.
Kuna watu wamewahi kuja kwako kukuomba msamaha?
Hakuna watu wamekuja.
Kama mjane wa kwanza wa JM, umekuwa na uzito wa kuchunga hii familia ambayo sasa mpaka uko na wajukuu. Huu uzito ulikuwaje mpaka leo ukiona msichana wako leo anaitwa Mumbi ametoka South Africa na ako na wajukuu? Ukiona hiyo safari, ukiona Mumbi ametoka South Africa, wewe unajisikiaje kama mama?
Nasikia furaha sana kwa sababu mtoto wangu ameenda huko. Mtoto yule JM aliwacha akiwa mdogo. Hata JM hakujua kama atakuwa namna gani ama namna gani. Yeye amekuwa mkubwa. Nimejua kutembea huko kwa Mumbi. Hata akiwa Amerika nimeenda. Tena mimi niko na watoto wengine, wale watoto wengine niko na wao. Hata wao ni wazuri sana, wananisaidia. Unajua kama uko mjane na watoto wako hapana sichana na wewe, itakuwa ni ngumu sana. Mimi watoto wangu tunasikiana vizuri sana. Wanachukua tabu yangu kama tabu yao.
Ndoto ya JM, wewe kama mjane mkubwa, unapanga vipi kuiendeleza kwa kizazi kijacho?
Ni kuchunga watoto wale waliacha, ama kuchunga mali ile aliwacha. Vijana wameoa, wasichana wameolewa. Hiyo ndio ndoto ya JM. Mimi nafanyia watoto wa JM kazi. Wale watatu aliniwachia na wafanyia kazi.
Jamaa alikuachia mali. Kwa wakati mwingine una wasiwasi mali nyingine haiko mikononi mwako?
Ni mingi haiko mikononi. Mnajua watu sio honest wote. Ni wengine ni honest, wengine sio honest. Mwingine anakuja anakwambia tulikuwa na JM hapa, lakini wengine hawasemi. Lakini hata wale hawasemi, Mungu ametujalia tumekaa hivi tuko. Hatuko kwa barabara kuomba na family. Tuko sawa, Mungu ametulinda sana. Ametutetea mambo mingi mazuri. Sababu kuna vijana wengi walika ya watoto yangu hawajaoa, hawajapata na watoto na wajukuu. Niitwa chuchu, niitwa maitu ya pili. Sasa mimi sio chuchu peke yake, mimi nimeitwa maitu mara ya pili, na hiyo ni furaha yangu nikiwa na hawa watoto.
Uzito wa hii mali ya JM ambayo hujapata iko mikononi mwa watu wajui, ni wito gani ungetoa kwa hao ambao walikuwa wanafanya kazi ya biashara na JM na kwa serikali kwa jumla ili uweze kupata haki yako?
Unajua hiyo miaka 15 mingi sana. Hata kama walikuwa na biashara na JM, labda haiko, labda hatujui kama iko wapi, lakini mtu akisikia kwa roho yake kuna kitu akitaka kurudishia familia ya JM, hii kwa familia ya JM, tuko karibu kupokea. Vile JM alituacha tuka hivyo. JM nilitoa hapa, mwingine hapa, mwingine hapa. Na JM alikuwa mtu hasemi huu ni mkubwa ama huu ni mdogo. Tuka hivyo JM alituacha. Sababu sasa wale watu JM waliwacha, hakuna mtu hana miaka 50. Wote wako zaidi ya 50. Hata mimi sasa niko na 80 years, labda niwacha nikiwa na 30 years. Sasa mimi niko na 80 plus.
JM angekuwa akisherehekea miaka 96 tangu kuzaliwa, angelikuwa hai leo, hiyo sherehe ingelikuwaje?
Hiyo sherehe ingelikuwa kubwa, sababu birthday yake ilikuwa kitu kikubwa sana. Na JM alikuwa atanipenda sana habari ya birthday. Alikuwa kitaka hiyo sana. Sijui hata ingekuwa namna gani. Hata siwezi kukueleza ingekuwa namna gani kwa vile alikuwa anapenda.
Wewe ni mjane, ukifikiria JM, jina JM ikija ama usikie watu wanataja, nini wewe inapitia kwa mawazo yako miaka 50 baada ya kifo chake? Najihurumia. Najihurumia kwa sababu sasa bwanangu alikufa, lakini nilijikaza hata ikitajwa hakuna kitu inafanyika, sababu hakuna kitu namkosea. Nimezungumza hata na mwisho na JM, aliniambia Benigeti alikuwa amekuja kuniangalia nyumbani, sababu jana nilikuwa kasino na nilikuwa mgonjwa. Mimi nikamuuliza, Benigeti amekuja nyumbani kukuangalia? Akaniambia amekuja. Nikamwambia mimi watu wa serikali sitaki kusikia na kuja kukuangalia. Kaniambia ati hakuna haja, hakuna tabu Nyambura. Benigeti tunajuana naye sana. Na mimi nafikiri Benigeti alikuwa akimfuatilia sababu yeye alimtoa Hilton.
Benigeti JM hakuwa na kitu baya na yeye, alikuwa naona ni kawaida tu, lakini mimi nilisikia Benigeti. Alafu sasa nikaja Nairobi, wakati JM alipotea nilikuja Nairobi, nikaenda JSU headquarters. Nikasema mimi nataka kuona Benigeti. Nikaambia Benigeti hayuko. Mimi nikasema hapana, mimi hapana toka hapa mpaka nimuone. Nikakaa akatumana. Akasema nije. Sasa nimuuliza Beni, mlipeleka JM wapi? Akasema hakuna pahali, hata mimi sijamuona. Nikamwambia JM aliniambia ulikuwa nyumbani. Ulikuwa unakuja nyumbani kwetu kufanya nini? Sasa akachidwa ataniambia nini? Sababu hakujua. JM aliniambia kwa simu. Aliniambia kwa simu Benigeti alikuwa hapa.
Na mambo ya nyumbani ya mwisho maongeo yenyu na ilikuwa kuhusu nini?
Mambo ya nyumbani ni kuhusu hii Siko wa Terry, hii mtoto wa Siko wa Terry. Na Mark alikuwa mtoto wa Esther. Walienda wakanunua vitu kwa duka ya watoto. Wakalete. JM akaniita hapa nje. Akaniambia hapa kuna nguo. Nimenunua nguo ya watoto. Watoto wale wawili wako nyumbani. Akaniambia ya msichana upatie Siko, ya kijana ni ya Mark. Na mimi nilifanya hivyo.
Wakati utakuwa ukisherehekea miaka 50 tangu JM auawe, wewe na Mungu wako utakuwa ukimwambia nini?
Mimi Mungu wangu nitakuwa nikimwambia asante sana kwa vile amenisaidia tangu JM akufe. Nitamwambia asante sana kwa pahali amenitoa, kwa sababu unajua bwana mtu kufa anakuachia watoto, anakuachia kila kitu. Ni ngumu sana. Kama mimi na Esther tulikuwa tunaishi Orao, tukatoka tukaja Gidigidi. Tulikuwa hatujui petrol inatoka wapi ya gari, barua inatoka wapi, stima inalipwa wapi, simu inalipwa wapi, sababu JM alikuwa akifanya hiyo kazi. Sasa ni wewe uanze kujua stima inaitwa kwa Kenya Power, simu inalipwa kwa posta siku hiyo. Na ilikuwa gumu, ni hard time, ni kusoma na gumu sana. Ili uweze kujisimamisha bila nimejisimamisha ni gumu sana. Sababu sasa mtoto anakuletea tabu ya baba, ya mama, na wewe utasote. Na wewe hutaki kuleta JM down. Unataka aone umaendelea. Lakini Mungu nakwambia amenitoa mbali. Kwa sababu sasa hiyo mnakwambia hujui nini utaanza, hujui nini ya mwisho, hata hujui kila kitu hujui. Na amenitoa mbali sana. Nashukuru Mungu sana.
Umekuwa na upweke miaka 50. Umepambana aje na huo upweke, loneliness?
Loneliness sio kubwa sana sababu nilikuwa na watoto. JM alikuwa ananiachia watoto. Kama sikuwa na watoto labda ningekuwa lonely, lakini nilikuwa na watoto. Niko na watoto 5, lakini mmoja amepass. Tulikuwa tukiongea na wao, tunacheka na wao na ndugu zangu.
Unafikiria watoto wa JM wataendeleza hii ndoto yake ama watafanya zaidi kushinda baba yao?
Watafanya zaidi kwa sababu sasa mambo ni digital. JM hakuacha digital. Kwa hivyo watafanya zaidi mengi mazuri. Na nimeona wakifanya. Hapa niko ni zawadi. Kwa Gidigidi hapa ni zawadi. Watoto ni zawadi. Kila kitu ni zawadi kwako ni JM, na kila kitu inanikumbusha JM.
Nini JM alikuambia uwe ukifanya kila siku ili uweze kuendeleza maisha yako mzuri?
Hakuniambia ile nitafanya kwa sababu hakujua atakufa aniache. Kama alijua atakufa aniache ndio angeniambia, lakini hakujua atakufa.
JM alipenda vijana sana. Leo hii angekuwa hayo, nafikiri angekuwa akiambia vijana wa leo ambao wanajulikana kama Gen Z tunapoongea leo.
Mimi nikiangalia Gen Z vile wanafanya, Sio ni tofauti na vile JM alikuwa akitaka. Ya kumaliza ningesema Mungu amweke pahali mzuri. Tuko vizuri kwa vile alituweka vizuri. Sasa kama JM alituacha hana hii mali yote, tukekuwa na tabu kutafuta watoto wataka wapi. Sasa hakuna kutafuta watu wataka wapi, watoto babake wao aliwanunulia. Ile kitu yote tuko nayo ni ile baba yao aliwanunulia. Hata kama ni gari unaendesha imetokana na mali ile JM alinunua. Wacha niwaibie kawimbo moja tulikuwa tukiimbia JM. Na Mwangi wa Kariuki nyayo gitio nundu wa wira ria arutire muingi Ngai muteithia Ngai murathima.
My name is Terry Kariuki. I'm the wife of the late JM Kariuki, whom we are going to celebrate the 50th anniversary on 2nd March. JM was a husband, a father, an uncle, a cousin, a friend, and a politician, and he fought for everybody. He didn't have any tribe, he didn't have any race, it was for everybody.
So, your relationship with JM, what came out of that relationship?
As I said, I'm the third wife of the late JM. I got married to him the traditional way, because obviously he had the first wife, Doris, and then there was Mwikai, the second wife. So me, I was the third wife. I met him here in Nairobi. The first time I saw him, because I was still young, and I think it's a friend who had invited me to a party. And that party, there were so many people. I had just come from abroad, so I didn't know them. But they looked as if some were businessmen, some were politicians. And because during those times, people who were civil servants, like PS, they were quite big people. Minister was something which was respected. So all these people, anyway, in that party, I saw everybody was centering through JM and Esther, everybody's like he wanted to be around JM. And I was wondering, who is this person? Everybody seems to want to be with him. So I can't remember. I didn't stay too long at that party because, as I said, I had come from the States, and I wasn't used to Kenyan parties, especially high profile people. So I just left, and then my friend told me, "Oh, that's JM, blah blah blah," and then the second time I think it was through another friend who was working. I think JM was a minister, assistant minister at that time, and this friend of mine also, she was a classmate in high school, Loreto, Limuru, and she also had gone abroad, but when she came back, she got a job with the civil servant. So she introduced me to him. And that's, in short, that's how I met him. And then we started, he was quite jovial. And he was different from other people, maybe other men I had interacted with. And he seemed to be talking about the country. He was like, very, talking about the country, the situation, about the social, and whatnot, especially, about the poor people. And I was wondering, because to me, he didn't look poor. He looked, actually, he was one of the few people I had met, were very well addressed, very articulate also in whatever he was talking. So anyway, long story short, and then we got married, and we were staying here in Nairobi. Then I met his children, because he is the one who was staying with the children. The first wife was staying up country in Gilgil, where they had a farm. But eventually later, came, stayed with the children. They were still young, I think and they were, going to school. But James seemed, he loved the children. That's what impressed me. He really cared for the children whenever he came from his office, and going to Parliament, because he was quite busy. He'd always made sure he comes home, after office hours, just to find out how are the children. Because me, I didn't have a child at that time. I used to take them to school. What impressed me, he cared for the family. Over the weekend, he would make sure he goes to Gilgil. Even the first time we went to Gilgil, he introduced me to Doris. And I was quite impressed because it was a big farm and very well run. And there were cows, animals, because he was a minister of tourism. He had a sanctuary. We call it for the animals. So I think there was giraffe, there were all these, but of course they were fenced, And then there was peacock. It was the most beautiful, place, because it looked very palatial. I came to understand that he had another wife, but that wife, for political reason, she left him, or she was taken from him. Because I understand the wife was, I think, working with the State House because of the politics of that time, probably. Whoever, and apparently I think she was working for the president. The two wives, everyone had a car and a driver. And even when the first time I went to James' place in Gilgil, I was wondering, is there a party? Because there were so many cars there, and these cars were, some of them were very expensive cars. Like there was Bentley, those are English, whatever car. He had a Jaguar. The first wife, I remember, Doris had a BMW. BMW, you can imagine at that, those years, was something. She had a big BMW. Actually, there were two BMW. So in other words, it was a life, said, wow. And then there were Land Rovers, there were Land Cruisers. The farm was doing very well because milk, all these cows, Josiah, you remember the Josiah, and so they used to take milk to Nakuru. And then another thing which impressed me about JM, all these people working for him, they were mixed. They were, from Rift Valley. James was from Rift Valley. He was a Kalenjini, and there were so many, Kikuyus, whatever, Luos. He had a mixture of, Kambas. So this is a man, I said, he doesn't care, about your tribe. He cares about a nation. I got my firstborn called Shiko, because Shiko is called after his mother. And so Doris also has a daughter called Shiko, Rosemary, Shiko, the one I was staying with. And he used to like to say, when, those days you couldn't tell whether you're having a boy or not. I said, now when I was pregnant, he used to say, I hope you get me, my mom. I said, you already have your mom through Doris. I said, yes, I still love my mom. So I came to find out his mother died when he was in detention. And I think it's that passion, and loss of a mother. So he used to love this Rosemary so much. And I used to love, Rosemary. She was a very, very, nice, girl. And me, I loved also children. I loved children because where I came from, my own mother had 18 children. So we were a big, big family. And I knew the beauty of having a big, family. So when I had my first daughter, I called her Shiko. But of course, Chico, the father died when she was still young. But the other children they were still in, I think the oldest was still, they were still in primary. Whenever, I would go to the office, his office in Jogo House, you'd go and find so many people. So I was wondering, who are all these people, So these people are the needy people with different, issues. Education, mtoto amefukuzwa shule, hospital bills, so many. These people, you'd go, because I don't know, Jogo House, it's a basement where they park the cars. At the basement, you find a lot of, groups. And then I would be asking askari, now wanataka kumwona mzee. I would find about minister. So then later when I go, I would go in and whatever I had gone to do, because he was so busy. I would ask him, see who is the minister, He said, yeah, this one needs this. I said, but I couldn't understand. If you are assistant minister and some ministers are coming to see you. So he was for everybody. Now after coming home, as I said, he always came home to be with the children, to make sure the children, they came from school, they were taken from school, sit with them, sit down, and blah. Now, another thing I found very, about him, because even at home, people started now coming. They would come and wait for him. And he had said, anybody who comes through that gate, nobody will. Everybody was welcome. Hakuna ati askari unataka kuona mzee. There was a place where they would wait, and he would hear each and everyone. That's another thing, because people used to call mzee. So I was wondering, who is this mzee? Mzee. Everybody, even in Gilgil, mzee. So I said, hey. Because JM at that time was about 40-something, because he died when he was 46, remember? So when I met him, maybe he was about 42, 14 or whatever. So anyway, and people used to, that's also another thing, when we went to Gilgil, we'll find schoolboys, and some were staying there. So he would tell me, I'm sponsoring these children. Some of them were going to university, Makerere, and his gem was, So during the holiday, they would come home, So there was a time I would ask him, kwani hao hawana kwao? Because holidays, they are coming to stay there. And they were so free with him. They would call him daddy. They would call Doris mom. And Mwikai, they would call mom, Me, I told them, you can't call me, because some of them were my age. Because some had graduated and they were staying with the JM. Just call me Terry, and it will be fine. He used to like to go to casino, international casino. You remember those international casinos in Westland? It's very unfair to say JM was a gambler. JM was a shareholder, among others. So he used to like to go to casino. He always came home. And whenever he came home, of course, he was also playing, because going to casino. But JM was going there sometimes to relax. Gambling doesn't mean that you are a gambler, It's just to go sometimes, to relax. And sometimes he would win and come with some money, and he says, oh, I got all this. And then he would definitely give us, some money. JM used to dress very well. And he used to buy, his suits from the best, boutiques. By the way, I still have some ties. His ties, I still have them. I think I still have about 10, which we managed to keep. And everything like ties, they were silk, Italian, and so forth. And his shoes, he would, match in Nairobi, the best boutiques. His wives would go there and choose whatever we want. And of course say, oh, he's coming to pay. And he would go and, pay. So it's like everything was laid down for us. We had no reason to complain or anything. JM never liked to be driven back seat. He always sat with the driver. And then he would, at that time we were staying in Kilimani, along Gong Road. Going down the Gong Road, most of the car, when there is traffic, is, hey, JM, they are waving at JM, hey, waving at JM. Because those days, the cars were not tinted. So we'd see the passenger. And sometimes he would even get out and start walking to Jogo house. And he's walking because the people are, some of them were waiting to find out where he would stop, tell him about their problem. And he would end up, So that was him. The driver had a hard time because he would tell the driver, tukutane to office, and that's what you would do. He had a sister who was very fond, he was very fond of. He was working with the Ministry of Lands. Her name was Raha. Raha was also, when I got married, she was my age mate. So we were very close with each other. So JM would say, today I'm going to take you, and my sister Raha, I'm going to take you to New Stanley. JM was very fond of New Stanley and Block Hotel. Norfolk Hotel. I came to find out he was a director of Block Hotel, was a chain of hotels. New Stanley was like his base. And he would say, okay, we go, today I'm taking you, for lunch to New Stanley. So we would go to his office. And then you find so many people. Now you get, jittery because you are tired because he has to finish with almost everybody. We are supposed to walk to New Stanley. So we wait for him in the office and we say, with Raha, Raha would come because Minister of Lands was just next. So she would come. I said, let's just walk. Sometimes we would walk with JM. Halfway, people are waiting for him. So, of course, he's talking to the people. He's talking to the people. And us, we want to go for lunch. So we'd say, let's just, let's go and have lunch. So we go to New Stanley. Do you know what? New Stanley, they already know, the waiters, they know JM is coming. So it's like they are fighting which table. Because serving JM was like a privilege. You would have time to tell him your problems, school fees, and blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, he used to tip, all this weight. It's like, those that are getting very little, salary. So me and Raha would just go, have our lunch, and finish. By the time we finish, here he comes with a group of 5, people. So we said, we are going. So we go back to the office, because I had come with the car, just go home, and Raha go back to the office. Another thing we found, because sometimes we would sit with him, he's surrounded, even you won't have peace, you won't enjoy, the lunch, because people are, coming to tell him his problem and so forth. And then another thing I found out, he won't leave those people. And you remember, it's New Stanley. New Stanley is not just a hotel, he would call the manager and say, give these people, all them left, lunch. Huh? All these people, yeah, he would pay for them. The same with Norfolk. He had Israel. Kahana was from Israel. He was his partner. They had started a company, JM Kariuki and Kahana, in business. That's how he was. With the Wahindi, with the Asians. Yeah. He had business, he was business partner. So in other words, he was really a man for everybody. He had connection even in America. Other people who visited JM in Gilgil. That time I wasn't there, but now that's where you could see the pictures of William Holden, Henry Ford, all these, who is who, they were already, interacting with the JM. In Europe, the same. So he was that, that kind of, a man to me. And he was a family. He cared for the family, his immediate family, his nuclear family. He cared very much. He catered for them. If you are fighting for the people also, you don't have to look to show that you are poor or anything. If God has blessed you, you be what you are. Don't lord over anybody, but be what you are. That's why he used to wear, dress very well, stay in beautiful, whatever, cars. Have cars and home and so forth. So he used to. And he interacted me, I can tell you, there was a time he would say, today I'm going to have nyama choma. The best nyama choma was, I think you have heard of a place called Kiamaiko. You have heard about it. That's Mathare. So you can imagine Mathare. We would go to Mathare, me and him and Raha, and when we get to Mathare, everybody had no JM's car, and we were talking about Mercedes or Jaguar, Some of the places you couldn't walk because you know how Mathare is, sewage and whatnot. If it has rained, be prepared to, be prepared to jump over the sewage. We would go there. Kiamaiko, the nyama was, actually nyama choma was very good. We would go there, but by the time even we get there, they were not mobile, phone or anything. So you have to be there and you can't, unless you have called before. We get there, and the people are waiting for him. We go, have nyama choma and what to know. By the time we go home, even where he leaves his car, you see young boys say, hii ni ya mzee, hakuna anybody, it's only the driver. Nobody would touch that car or, or try to mess up with that car. And then the people from Mathare, they would come, you see. It's like he was an MP for that area. That time it was Munywa Wayaki was the MP. So that's how, In other words, he went corners, places. Me, I have gone to places I would say, why? I don't think I don't know, but I have to, to be with him. Masai land, the same Masai land. We have gone interior Masai, opening schools, helping people to dig, for water, So you can see the passion, schools, hospitals. Turkana, we have been there. I don't think there's any place we haven't gone, the end of Busia, all those places, Ugunya, all those, places. And the MPs for all those areas, they love to ask JM to come to the Harambee because he would come and donate quite generously. He used to go to all kinds of churches, even mosque he would go. There is no place JM didn't. And his vision was if Kenya can be like even the places he has visited, UK or America or whatever. And he said, we have resources. It's just mismanaged. We have everything here in Kenya. We can be even better than even probably, Europe. Casino, the directors were, the shareholders were Peter Mwikai, the son of the late Jomo Kenyatta, James Gishoro, the Minister for Finance, Fred Kubai, who was MP for Nakuru, and there were some Asians, there were some Wazungus, and then it was run by the Italians. And also JM had shares with other people. I think he trusted a lot of people because apparently James, he didn't have an older brother or even a brother, younger brother, he could delegate. So with all those opportunities, and those days, even the ministers and whatnot, they had opportunities. That's how some of them made money through the companies and whatnot. Corruption was very minimal. very, very minimal. And the facilities were available. You could, like most of the properties we bought through the bank. And that's another thing, because sometimes JM would walk in the bank, it's like stand still. Because the manager, stopped even serving other people because JM has come. He was with somebody called Gadesha. Gadesha apparently was a relative of, I think, Bamagena. And of course, JM being in personal assistant to Kenyatta, of course, he had interacted with so many people. And so this company, they formed, it is called Kariuki and Gadesha Resources. This farm is in Dogo. You pass through there. It's a big farm. It's 450 or something acre. That's one, farm. They were partners. And others. But the unfortunate thing, you trust people and you are together, you form business and you are doing very well. The minute probably something happens to that person, and that person, we are talking about JM, when he died, some of these people, the directors or the partners, because remember we are young young widows. Doris was Mwikai and myself. I think we are hardly 30, maybe 30 something, but young. And remember James' death was so political, and those days, it was. So they took advantage and converted some of those, whatever, the companies to themselves. The so-called Gadesha Mzee, I think he was a lawyer or something. He was an old man. They changed, the company, and because later we came to find out, and he divided and the farm. Remember, it's 450 acres. That's a big, in Nairobi. It stretches down here to Donho. No, is it No. When you are going to Thika after breweries, if that road, you can see that farm very far, very far. Not too far, but you can, see. But you pass through Dogo. So he divided the farms and sold to companies, different companies. Obviously, the companies, they didn't know the history. Like there's one company called Lucky Summer, and they bought the plots. I hear the place is so developed right now. And how we came to find out about all this, because we sold to the people. But then, when now the people were trying to get title from him, they wouldn't get the title. He would threaten them and blah, blah. And then later they came to find out, kumbe, JM's family, or JM was partner to this man. And they looked for us, the family, and came and told us, asked us how we can help them, because they want to get the farm. I think they paid deposit, but they wanted to pay the whole amount. And that's why they had asked Mzee Gadesha, we want to pay, we wanted the titles, and he won't give them. Apparently, Gadesha has died. So that story, we went to court. It's like it was too much, following, But I think people should know, Lucky Summer, whoever has bought Lucky Summer, or whoever, because I hear it's divided left and right, it's being sold, but there are, of course, some areas maybe, remaining. We have no issue with whoever has bought, because they were, they didn't know the history behind it. But even if they have bought, they have the right to buy. But what grieves us is that it's only one family who has benefited, taking advantage of JM's, death. So us as a family would plead to the government to come and help us sort out this issue of Kariuki and Gadesha farm. So we hope whatever is right for JM, the government would be at least help the family to get back their properties. Because JM was not only for us, it was for the country. He belonged to the country. And what surely he did for this country, surely we should remember, his good deeds and try to pay back whatever he did. And there's this farm in Old Kalau, and he had this farm, and this farm he had bought through government loan. It's one of those settlement, loans. When JM died, even before, because JM used to live in there, and then he bought the farm in Gilgil, because he was a member, the member for Nyandarua. And then the family were staying there. That time I wasn't, it was Mwikai and Doris. And he had bought, what JM did, he went to his ancestral land place, or rather, Oshago, in Nyeri, because JM comes from Odhaya. And he had relatives. And he brought, because he bought this farm in Old Kalau, and it was big. And instead of employing other people, he also went and got his families to come. Some of them were drivers, some were doing, because it was a big farm. And he settled them there. Then he also brought his parents, well, that time his real father, called Zachariah Ndungu, was alive. And the wife, because JM's mother died while he was in detention. And the father got married to another woman called Terry Wanjiru. And they settled there in that farm. Now what he did, as said, he was helping everybody. There was this group of Nyakenya, and they wanted JM to help them to get a farm. The women, a group of women, they were 9, and they formed a company. He told this group of women, I'll help you to get a large farm in Laikipia. But meanwhile, you come into my farm and farm. And he helped them, even showed them where, open an account. So whatever you get, you deposit or you save, waiting for me to get a bigger, large farm for the women's society. And that's what happened. By the time JM died, these women are farming from outside. They are not settled there. It's only JM's family, remember? Because of politics, because people in Nyandarua, JM had, whom he had defeated. He had defeated so many. So the MP who was there when JM died, he was always jealous about JM's popularity and whatnot. And what he got hold of these women and told them, or rather, him and other men, now they are eyeing JM's farm. Remember? What will help you to get this farm. JM had promised to get you a farm in Laikipia. But why? He's no longer there. This farm should there. So that's what happened. And these women now turned against the family. And the case went on, and the title was reversed. So it was told the farm belongs to JM. They put appeal again. But they lost. Life after JM was completely changed. It was so difficult without him. And now you are left a young mother with a child. And there is political scene somewhere, You don't know where even to start. I looked at the situation, I said, yes, he's gone. And we have to live. And you have to raise this child because there is nothing you can do. And I looked, I said, whatever, however, how we lived, let me call it past glory. I moved first of all from the mansion. And I went, looked for a place. Fortunately, I got a place I could afford. So I got a job, but it wasn't that easy. Because remember, you are marked JM, and everybody is kind of afraid. I got a job with the KTDC, company belonging to KTD, but it was called African Tours and Hotel, dealing with. So that's how I got the job. JM had given some of these people to, driving and what. We never, we never got hold of them. Like the big BMW, somebody took it. The other BMW took it. Like that. It's like people were waiting for JM to go and grab. And remember, JM didn't have any child who was older. The oldest was Jane, and she was still teenager. She was Kenya High. After now Kenyatta died, it was Moi. And I think we didn't have problem. We didn't have any problem. And as I said, he was a director together with JM. By the time JM had died, JM was the chairman of this company called Rift Valley Agents. And Moi was director. Bomet, his brother-in-law, Kiptanui, there was a Kiptanui. So there were 4. Even during Kenyatta, before even Kenyatta died, even Kenyatta, we didn't have it's these people who were around him, maybe causing fear. But we had no reason to go and maybe see the president, because whatever happened also was too fresh in our mind. It was difficult to raise one child. I came to know this person is so loving to his family. He cares for the family, and he's so loving also to the people. He cares for the people. And he had the qualities. I looked back. Then I said, okay, I could have got married, because we are still young. We could have got all of us married. If it was today is a different story. I don't see anybody who can fill JM's shoes. I'm very sorry. If I was still with JM, I would have loved to have maybe 4 children, 6 children or something like that. But because JM loved the children, and he loved his children. So even I said, if this man, that's how he would love his children, let it be. But when now he's gone, I was still mourning him, and I was still kind of, when you look back and say, why did they kill him? What wrong really had done? Why did they not take him to detention? Whoever did that, they did injustice to the family. They denied these young widows a husband. They denied the JM's children a father. When you look at other families and said, surely, why did they do this? Why did they deny my daughter? My daughter growing without father, but she's hearing about how famous, how good the father was. And whoever was behind it, I always say, I left it. There was a time I was so bitter. Bitter in the sense, asking why. Why did they deny Doris, her husband, Mwikai, her husband, the children, James' children? Why? That question is very difficult to answer. And I thank God because we are still alive and strong. Then I thank God because when they killed JM, we could have not found the body. Can you imagine all those years, 50 years, hoping JM will ever come? How do you explain to the children, your father is still missing? It was God's will that we found him. Actually, they wanted JM to disappear. Because if they took him to Maasai land, And we went there to Maasai land, and we found the villagers or the people around. And they said they kept on hearing shots, right, guns, whatever. And then they said, hapa mtu akiwekwa, fisi itamaliza. Kuna fisi nyingi sana wanangojea maiti. Kuna watu wengi sana wameletwa hapa, na hata hatuoni, ili yao tunakuta mifupa. So I think that was the intention of them, that JM would not be found. But then what happened, when JM disappeared, or rather, because it was on a second, and that's also something I want to clarify, because the press has talked about, kulikuwa na bomb at OTC, JM was supposed to be in that OTC. The question was, JM used to go to Mombasa. We used to go to Mombasa, fly. So this story about JM was to travel by OTC. That means a bus. I've never seen JM traveling with any bus. When he disappeared, and this story now OTC, and then he disappeared on that side. He was supposed to travel on that Sunday. That's what I want to clarify. Friday, I remember very well, JM wasn't feeling well. And he told me to go to the farm and take the money for the salary for the workers. And he said he wasn't feeling well. So what happened, we went with him to see a doctor. We had a friend called Dr. Eraj. He was like our family doctor. And the doctor told him to rest, because he started, he was feeling pain, the knees. And remember, JM was detained, so alikuwa amegongwa sana magoti, so all over. And this was March, and March was getting cold. So whenever it was cold, he would have that problem. So he was given injection, and he was told to rest. JM was not going to any Mombasa. That was political, whatever, stories. That was government arrangements. Show how JM was against whatever they were talking about. We missed a very loving husband. We missed a very loving father. We missed a very loving human being. And we learned also a lesson that, you take care of your neighbors. It's like he was blessed, and whatever he did was to care for the needy. He wasn't a billionaire. He wasn't richer than Kenyatta or other whoever it was in Jojo, call them whoever it was. He wasn't. It was like, it's not what I have. It's sacrifice. I want to share with the less fortunate, the people who did this. And I want to repeat again, we are still very angry. And we are human. It was very difficult even to forgive them. You see them, you interact with the people who are behind your husband's death. So you try very hard. Even in school, where my daughter was going, one of Gaby's daughter was going to school with my daughter. Because now my daughter was now in high school. She had had all this, reading all this, because it was all press. And she, even from relatives, she knows that now my dad, this is what happened to my dad. He must be a wonderful, person. But he loved her. He loved his children. That's the main thing. I could have got married, but then I said, if I get married, then the person will always, sometimes we call and say, unafikiri mimi ni JM. I think I'll pamper you the way, God give me strength to look after my child, to look after the family, because he put a foundation for us. And then down the line, I said, even I meet somebody, all those people who are mentioned in James' death, and they know themselves. Some of them have died a very miserable life. Even those who wanted to be a president, sometimes Kenyatta would call our home, and he would talk to James. As I say, if there was a bill, and they wanted it to be passed, they would make sure James is in parliament. I think these people were kind of jealous. But during those days, you couldn't have expression of like Kenyatta must go or anything. Even to think that you want to take over from Kenyatta, it was even declared, I remember one time, as a treason to think that you want that seat. So that's how it was, But people said, if Kenyatta dies, we will want JM as our president. And I think that message is the one which irritated these people. Koinange, who was very close to Kenyatta, obviously he thought he would take over, from Kenyatta. There was Njonjo, who was very well educated, in South Africa and so forth. There was Dr. Mungai, who was personal doctor for Kenyatta. He was very well qualified doctor, went to America, Stanford University. So I think it's like they were saying, we are most educated. I think we can bring this country, without thinking that you have to start from the grassroots. It's not the degrees you have, it's what you want for your people. And since they were not in touch with the trodden people, so and JM was the one who was interacting with every Hari and Diku, every tribe. He didn't have tribe, he didn't have race. I would say they are the ones, it was like a cartel, who sat down and said, this young man, he's on our way. How would we get rid of him? If we get rid of him, one of us will be the president. And then they used people from JM's home, or rather from Nyeri. Because most of these people, they were from Kiambu. And remember those days, there was very strong Kiambu versus Nyeri. Like Kimuranga, they had Dr. Kiano, who was very well, but Kiano wasn't, he just wanted to do his job and blah, blah. He was also a friend. And but these other people from Kiambu Mafia, they are the one who sat down and really conspired about JM. And then they used the people from Nyeri, because like Gedi and Terry, all these other Muredi, all these are people JM had helped so much. Surely, they used to do the dirty job, Because because we kept on talking with JM, he said, people have fed Kenyatta with a lot of, fitinas. JM goes to Nakuru, because that was the town. It's like it would come to a standstill, because they would know JM's is at Staghead. Staghead was one of the best hotels on Midland. There's this mayor called Borogishua. He was really against JM. And being a mayor during those days, it was very, very powerful. There was this Kimani Keheka, who was positioned in Gema. And Gema was really very strong. It was a Kikuyu, whatever, society. And then others in Nakuru. Because, as I say, JM had investment in Nakuru, and he was so popular, because there even JM would be going to Rift Valley, it was like his headquarters there. And they saw how popular he was. And they are the ones who really started all this together with the Kiambu Mafia to say, Fitina, JM wants to change Serikali ya Kenyatta. And then, because even some of JM's friends, they came and said, this Fitina is too much. Why, you are close to Muzee. Why don't you go and explain. And he said, what mistake have I done? What am I sorry for? If these people, that's how they want it, they are telling Mzee a lot of lies. So we kept on persuading him. Especially me and Raha, we said, we persuaded him to go and see. But he was also stubborn. These people who have been in detention, sometimes they have gone through very hardship, So he never, but I think later when he tried, they were blocking him from, State House. State House, they had all these people, with this cartel. So it was rather, difficult. History has to be told, and be told the truth. Because these children of tomorrow, the Gen Z, and you call them, they want to know the truth. Don't hide the truth. Because also in school, we read history. We read colonial history. So why not in Africa? We also have to make sure we have our own history. We wanted the truth to be told to the country. And we want, even if the government can take over from where it was left, so that the truth will be known. The truth will set you free, to set the country, free. It's not like that we are going to gain anything, It's not, as I said, all those people who are involved in JM's, whatever, murder. It's 50 years. But I want justice to be done. We want these children to be healed. And the only way they can be healed is to know the truth, so that the truth will be known even by their great children. My grandchild asked me about his I hear this because in America it's all over sometimes. They know about JM. Most of them, they know about JM. Because like even JM has pictures taken with Robert Kennedy, with all these people. So we want the truth to be told. That's all what, Me, I forgave them, most of them, because most of them are dead. It's only their families, and their families, their children. So you can't put the blame to the children, or you can't put the children to the sin of their father. But the truth has to be told. Let it be known. Let the people, the future people, know. Let even you people who killed JM, your children, great-great-grandchildren, read the history. Doris is going through, it's what I'm going through as a widow. Whatever Mwikai, unfortunately Mwikai, is still, she passed away some years ago during the COVID, But whatever, we carry the same weight. We carry that loss. You can imagine how young we were. We could have all gone different ways. And James' family would be no more. But we have carried, we have persisted through, through so many challenges. Sometimes you are there all by yourself, bringing up a child. There were so many times, you are there in your bedroom, you end up bursting crying, but you don't want your child, to know that, mommy is here, So many times you would shed, tears, because you'd sort of go down the memory lane, the way you lived with the JM. So what I can say, even today, if I meet the one who triggered the last or pulled the last bullet, you know what I would do? I would just tell him, hello, God bless you. I will not start fighting with him. Whoever pulled that, it's painful. But what, I would just tell him, God bless you. And I mean it, God bless you. And move on. We are all human beings, and we are here for a short time. So we'll meet. We'll meet maybe up there. So life has to go on, but the truth has to be told. When I saw the body, because you couldn't undress him. We are curious to find out how did they kill him. So when they came to they said there was, the day they set for the post-mortem, I told the other family, and they said no, they're not going to, they don't want to be there. But anyway, me, I went. And I think we went, they didn't come inside. So I went inside, they were doing post-mortem, and they opened the chest. They showed me where the bullet had hit. So it's for sure Geddy had met JM. And then when Geddy came, JM told Macharia, I was waiting for this person. And JM even paid for his coffee. We paid for his coffee or whatever he was having. But according to Macharia, there are two versions. Either there was a car waiting for JM in front of, because JM came with his car, and he had parked not straight. He had, like if he was in a hurry. But these people, they were used to JM. He could park anyhow. Because Hilton, whenever he went there, even the butler, everybody they knew JM. But according to Macharia, is that he went down. That means in the basement, in Hilton. Because in Hilton, I think there's a parking or whatever. And that's where now JM was taken by Geddy. Now, according to the story, we don't know who was there down. But eventually they took him to Kingsway, special branch, office. It's a funny office during those days. You couldn't tell it was special branch. Because I think around they had put like selling carpet. So it's a place you couldn't even suspect that they were interrogating people. So according to the story, that's what happened, to JM, and they shot him. So I wanted to see the shots, and they showed me, the shot. So they finished the postmortem. Was quite satisfied. I went and reported, told everybody what has happened. So that's what happened to the story of the postmortem. I wasn't afraid. I was like, the doctor was also, I think they were also very concerned, because he would show you where the bullet went. I was there, keen, watching, I'm not a medical or whatever, but I just wanted to see where the bullet went. So that's what happened. Let's be truthful. Every family has issues, small or big. We also have issues. I think we also, I would say as an elder in the family, we forgive each other, whatever, because it's not easier. A polygamous family moves smoothly, and you are all happy together because you have one person controlling you. And if that person is no longer there, of course you have differences. And we are talking about the children who are small. During those days, happy merry-go-round, as a family. Because you have somebody who loves you together, and who is showing you are all, together, you are all mine. But once that person goes, every individual has a right to ask, suppose this one wasn't here. Suppose Terry wasn't in this family. Suppose Mwikai wasn't in this family. Maybe. And they have the right to think that. Sometimes I ask, how did I end up here in this family? Those are questions, you ask. But now, the person who brought you together is no longer together. So whatever issue we have, let's not blow it. If, like Doris, ask how you, Mwikai and Terry, you came in my family. Obviously, as a person, she has that feeling, right? Sometimes we let these issues, you have never had in the press or whatever, Jen's family is fighting or whatever. Yeah, we go to court, but you are going to court because you have the right, probably you have the right for your share. And you look at it and said, I should have got this, I should have got this. So you have the right, and it's only the judge who can see, is this right or is this wrong? So if we have any differences, we can say, for the sake of our children, because it's only Doris and myself who are left, we can say we are women now, we are growing. There's no woman who definitely don't be cheated, who would like to have a co-wife. Before it used to work, in old, even during our gukas, whatever, it used to work. And you didn't even know huyu mtoto ni wanani. It was mama mkubwa, maito mokoro, maito munyinyi. Is that not so? But these days, this age, even me, I won't encourage any young man to get married to another, wife. Unless your wife has died, unless you are divorced, properly. But all what I'm saying, whatever happened, happened. And the person who can answer that is no longer with us. So let's carry his vision. What did he want? He loved people. Let's not fight among ourselves. Let's forgive each other. We all have made mistake one way or the other. And unless we forgive each other and let it go. And that's what I said. I was so bitter, A, B, C, D, but I let it go. Because I said, this will end up giving you all kind of diseases. Is it worthy? Is it worthy to suffer while God has shown me the way? So, as a family, I would encourage, as children, they are all my children. Because when their father was alive, they were my children. And we sit together. If we have issues, we try to sort out. Because we are no longer children. That's what I would tell the family. Because really, I can say I loved this man. As I said, even to the point of blinding me that I couldn't have walked out of his family and get married to another family. I would have had another family. I was young. I could have taken my daughter and go abroad and say, forget about it. But I didn't. So let's forgive each other and live as a family.
My name is Anne-Marie Wanjiku Jones, and I am the last daughter of Josiah Mwangi Kariuki, who was popularly known as JM. I just always knew that my father was this political figure who had been assassinated. He was killed. The government had something to do with it. I never really grieved my father. I didn't know how to grieve. I was just a year and a half. I thank God because he brought it to the forefront and he showed me how to grieve. But I also had to learn to forgive my father also. I had to look at him as a man. God showed me for the first time, I saw him as a human being, as a man who was just like any one of us. He made mistakes and he was just trying to do the best. Nobody in this world is perfect. Even the person that you think is your biggest hero, there's only one hero, and that's Jesus Christ. I came to learn that my father didn't have a very good relationship with his dad. So, you're dealing with also something of rejection issues. We never had that father figure, so to speak. And that's a very important role. A mother can do only what a mother can do, but a mother can never be a father. And a father can do only what a father can do, but a father can never be a mother. For me not having a father, obviously that fatherly love, guidance, protection, because that can also come, protection can come from your mother too, guidance can come from your mother too, but there's also a different kind of guidance and a protection that comes from a father. Direction, that fatherly love, especially when it comes to mothers with fathers and daughters. There's a very special relationship there, just like how fathers and sons have their special relationship. Mothers and fathers, mothers and sons have their special relationships. Mothers and daughters have their special relationships. So maybe just generally, that's what I can say. Yeah. I think also, if I could add, because just hearing all the stories, I think he was just a cool dude, like really cool dude, you know. So if there's one thing maybe I could say, maybe those conversations, just picking his brain, you know, like his train of thought, and having those kind of conversations. One thing I would have loved to know about my dad is, but what was his childhood like? What were his passion? You know, what are things that made him human, you know? Remove the political side of it, but those things that drove him, the things that gave him joy, you know, the things that brought happiness to his heart. He loved his family very much. I think that's one thing that maybe is not highlighted enough, is he loved his family. I think a lot of times they tend to highlight this political figure. Yes, he was in politics, but he loved his family. My father chose to be with different women. Yeah, and he had children also with those women. So that was, you can't, you know, that was his choice. I tell my siblings this, at the end of the day, he was our father. No one can take that away from him. He may have had different wives, but there's one thing that someone can never deny, is at the end of the day, people can fight within households and this, that, and the other. At the end of the day, he was my father. Just like how my mother is my mother, he was my father. My hope is, also to my family, at the end of the day, we gotta all realize and just be grateful that a lot of the things you find people fighting over, you didn't even work for it yourself. It was not your hard work. It was not your blood, sweat, and tears, you know. And that you should just be grateful, regardless of whatever situations may have happened, you know, what choices that my father may have made. We have to learn to forgive. And we also have to learn to give grace, because there's also things that we have done in our life, every person has done in their life. And at the end of the day, we need grace and we need mercy. Because he's not here now, and there's all these things that, you know, you are left with, especially the estate. Just be grateful and also just be thankful. These are things that you know, you tend to, that can rip families apart and just cause a lot of division, unnecessary division. And that is not something my dad, just from knowing and hearing stories of who he was, that is something that he would not have wanted. I think he would have chopped at everybody who was just, you people need to get in line. What is going on? What nonsense is this? These things are for here. They're not for, they'll, you know, do something with it. Let it be build upon it. Let it be something that you can turn into generational wealth, you know, that will last for generations and generations. He had a vision. Even when it came to his businesses, he had a vision. So, you know, do something that will also benefit and give back to the people, to the nation, whether it's you start in like maybe Gilgil or Kalau, something that will help, something that will be there for even like, well, 100 years from now. All this greed and people coming out of the woodworks and, you know, all this division, it's so not necessary. It's just not necessary. At the end of the day, I hold nothing against any one of these people. What my dad left, and, you know, what he worked hard for and what he left, it's more than enough for the entire family.
My name is JM Kariuki. I am the daughter of the late JM Kariuki. My mother was Esther Mwikai Kariuki. I remember on my 13th birthday, he hired a bus. I think there were 2 buses. Looking back now, I'm just amazed that he was able to come down to our age and interact with my friends. And he even came and he was dancing with us, because we had a disco that had been hired. and he was dancing with us, and just everybody felt very comfortable. And this is something the schoolmates that we're still in contact with, they still talk about it. I wish they could have seen the other side of him being a father, and how gentle he was, and how caring, and how loving he was. And now being a parent, I think he was very giving of his kids, of his family, because he cared about his wives, and he treated them like queens. The best parent on planet Earth. That's all I can say. I always wished I could have a husband like that. I think what I can say I took away from my father was not being judgmental, being kind.
Hi, my name is Sunari. I'm 10 years old, and I'm the granddaughter to JM Kariuki. He was a good person. He took care of a lot of the poor people. Just the way he died is very, heartbreaking, and yeah, it's very heartbreaking. And I wish I have met him when I never had the chance to. When I became 8 is when I asked who was JM, and my grandma's like, that is your great-great-grandfather. I'm like, wow, he's very handsome. And then he's like, yeah, he was a very nice guy. And I was like, I should have met him. When I grow up, I hope I would remember JM, how good he was, and he would never leave any of our hurts. He will always be with us, no matter what.
My name is Mumbi and Mumbi Muirore. I am the daughter of JM Kariuki and Doris Nyambura Kariuki, the first wife. And the one thing I miss about my dad was the confidence, the love that he showed us. And that is priceless. It's carried us 50 years later. We still have the confidence and the pride in knowing that we are JM's children. But he taught us to love yourself and to care for friends and family. And that, I think, will stay with us forever. Let us just remember JM as a person of the people, non-tribalistic, just cared and loved and died for his country. I think his integrity, that has taken us far. And it makes me sad that 50 years later, it's fading, the urgency, the importance, the relevance, it's starting to fade. And it saddens me that we don't have proper documentation, proper records to show from his detention to his release to his life. We don't have documentation on that. JM would not want to be remembered for people in court, people fighting. JM would want to be remembered for the loving family, friend, father, brother, uncle that he was. We don't have to meet in court. People can communicate. And I think it's going to take the next generation to be able to communicate. Let JM's hard work finally be in the hands of those who deserve it, the family and the extended family.
Naitwa Peggy Muthoni Gichuhi. Mimi ni dada ya JM. Tuko na shida nyingi sana familia ya JM kwa sababu wakati JM alienda familia, hakuna mtu alishughulika kwenda kutaka kujua familia ya JM inakaaje au shida zao ni gani. Na yeye alikuwa mtu wa kusaidia watu, alikuwa mtu wa huruma, kuhurumia watu, lakini sisi hatujapata mtu wa kutuhurumia, hatujapata mtu wa kutusaidia, hatujapata mtu ambaye angetaka kujua shida za familia ya JM ni gani. Ile kitu kinanifanya roho yangu yume sana ni kwa sababu ndugu yangu JM alikuwa akitetea haki za binadamu, alikuwa akitetea Waafrika wapate haki yao, alikuwa akitetea watu wapate mashamba equally, lakini hata ile amenunua imefamiwa na mzungu.
ambao hatukujua mahali ametoka. Kwa sababu naona tunanyaganywa mali yetu kwa sababu sisi tuliachwa tukiwa wanawake tupu. Tulizaliwa, JM ndiye alikuwa kijana peke yetu kwa nyumba yetu na tukaachwa tukiwa kina mama tupu.
My name is Wanjiku Ndongo. I'm a niece to the late JM Kariuki. And I would like to remember my uncle as a compassionate, kind, a person who loved people and loved life. It also pains me that most of my family members are living in abject poverty because most of his properties are being held by other people who shall overcome.
My name is Catherine Wangoikuria. I worked in the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife, where JM was an assistant minister. Some of my duties were to assist him as a PA. JM was a special person. I remember him for his goodness. I remember him for his honesty. And I remember him for his love for people. He was a great man. He had a big heart. Make sure that you build unity and you study what he really lived for and continue to do what he would have liked us to do and flourish. That way, history will be written, and that way, JM will never be forgotten